Hello students, come back to bio lecture. Remember we were doing the chapter systematics. Let me do a small brushing up where we started with the 5K classification. K stands for kingdom. Monera done, Protista done, fungi done. Now let me go further with kingdom planting. The word giving you a broad hint that all the plants come under this kingdom. All the plants, let it be the simplest aquatic plant, that is algae, and the most complex, well developed plants group coming under angiosperms. All the plants come under kingdom planting. Now, to list few features, first and foremost, they are all eukaryotic. They are all multicellular. Now, as we go beyond the 5K classification, as we go further, we see more development. So, there is no question of unicellularity. It is multicellular, eukaryotic. They all are made up of cells which have a if this is a plant cell, then they have a very unique exclusive feature, that is they have a cell wall, and this cell wall is made up of a component called as cellulose. Cellulose, anything ending in OSE has to be a sugar. Lactose, maltose, sucrose, glucose, cellulose. So cellulose is also a sugar. Now because of this component cellulose, the plant cell, they attain rigidity, rigid, tough, hard. That's why to cut a grown up plant, or rather a tree, you need an axe. You need an axe to cut a tree because of its tough covering branches, and the branches are tough because all the plant cells, they have a cell wall with cellulose. The cellulose, it's a very important term which gives rigidity to the plant or to the plant cell. Now, inside the plant cell, eukaryotic features are very much there, but one cell organelle which needs to be mentioned here, and which you all know from your childhood days classes, you have been learning this, you know it very well. They have a cell organelle called as chloroplast. I am giving you a very rough figure. They have a cell organelle called as chloroplast. This chloroplast has a, I put it here, this chloroplast has a pigment, green color pigment called as chlorophyll. This chlorophyll is responsible for giving the green color to the plants. Chlorophyll, the green color pigment present in the cell organelle chloroplast, which gives green coloration to the plants. Now what is so unique about this pigment? This pigment has the capacity to trap solar energy, sunlight, and the plant can prepare their own food, where I use the term photosynthetic. Photo means light, you know it. Synthetic means preparation, synthesis, manufacture. So the plants can prepare their own food. Why? Due to this chloroplast. Chloroplast having a green color pigment chlorophyll, and chlorophyll has a very special ability to trap the sunlight or light energy. Right? Now you will notice that. Now let me mention, this is right at this junction, let me mention, we animal cell, we do not have this chloroplast. So we do not have this chlorophyll pigment. So we do not have the ability to trap the light energy and prepare our own food. We all depend on plant products for our nutrition. Now due to this photosynthetic nature, plants, we call them as, I'm sure you would have heard of this term, autotrophs. Auto means self, trophs means nourishment or nutrition. So they are responsible for their own nutrition. They prepare their own food, which is glucose, right? But there are certain exceptions, certain species, certain examples where they are not autotrophs. They behave like heterotrophs, and let me give you a few more minutes. Here they behave like they are heterotrophs. They cannot prepare their own food, and they are insectivorous plants. These words, these terms you would have done in your lower classes, I am very sure. Insectivorous plants, a very good example is Venus flytrap. These plants, their setup is such that they can open up, trap the insects and just ingest them. Ingest them means swallow them. So their mode of nutrition is trapping insects and digesting them. I'm sure you would have heard of this example. Now this was about the plants. Plants, they can be broadly classified into, here I put up cryptogams and phanerogams. Cryptogams are non-flowering plants and phanerogams are flowering plants. Now plants, they reproduce by two methods: sexual and asexual. If I say two methods, to be very precise, they show two phases. They show two phases in the life cycle. One is asexual method with the formation of spores, and one is sexual method with the formation of gametes. In fact, they show something called as alternation of generation, sporophytic generation and gametophytic generation. They are alternating with each other, and thus the life cycle of the plant gets completed, right? So this was about the plants. We will not go more into detail of plants because in future ahead you have a chapter completely exclusively on kingdom planting, where we will discuss algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. You would have heard of these terms, but all that will be done in detail in your next chapter. So after this we switch over to the most developed kingdom, that is kingdom Animalia. We come here means we fall here. All the animals, let it be an insect, a worm, a bird, a lizard, a reptile, snake, anything and everything. comes under kingdom Animalia. All the existing animals come under this kingdom. Even we are here. Here you will notice that we are very much eukaryotic. We are very much multicellular. Some special feature which has to be pinpointed is we animal cells, we lack the cell wall. We don't have the cell wall. No cell wall. We just have a flexible plasma membrane. I'm sure you have heard of it. The covering of the protoplasm is called as plasma membrane. We do not have cell wall. We lack cell wall. So there is no question of any component called cellulose. So we don't have any rigid skin. To cut our skin, a knife or a blade is enough. But to cut a bark of a tree, you need a big axe to cut it. Because we lack the cellulosic component. We don't have cell wall. So no question of cellulose. Next exclusive feature which I already mentioned. We do not have the cell organelle chloroplast. So no chlorophyll. So no ability to prepare our own food. We don't have the capacity to go and trap sunlight outside. Just stand outside, trap the sunlight. No. We are totally heterotrophs. We are completely depending on the plants, the autotrophs. In fact, keeping this particular feature, I can say that we animals come under consumers in the food chain, and plants, they come under the title producers. We only consume plant products. We cannot make our own food. Our source of nutrition, energy is plants. Right? So we animals do not have cell wall. Animal cell do not have cell wall. We do not have chloroplast. Rest of the cell organelles, as usual, a eukaryotic cell has. So rest of the things are same. Now again, a unique property we have is whether poorly developed or very well developed, we have something called as nervous system with proper sense organs. There are few lower animals found in aquatic animals where the cell organs are not properly developed, poorly developed, but they are there. Still they are there. And because of this nervous system, we are considered to be the most developed in the whole lot of the 5K classification. So we are placed right at the bottom with the most developed features. Now again, ahead you have kingdom Animalia in detail. So this is enough for you. This will suffice. Now with this, I complete your 5K classification, where I told you the former part of the chapter is omitted because of this current situation, slashed, deleted. So your chapter actually starts from all the 5 kingdoms, right, in detail. Now, already I have mentioned somewhere before 2-3 lectures back, I spoke about, the current topic, the hot topic, which is nothing but viruses. These viruses, they don't have any place in I told you, they don't have any place in the 5 kingdom classification. You cannot place them. Because there is a debate whether, there is a lot of confusion that either they are living and their behavior is such sometimes that they are non-living. Because of this confusion, because of this debate, there is no place for them in the classification. Now, why so? Let me tell you. Viruses. See, when I was talking about bacteria, I told you that these bacteria, if they are harmful, they cause disease, but many species are useful to us. These bacteria help us in preparing antibiotics, in fermentation, in preparation of cheese, milk products, wine, alcohol. So if they are harmful, they are useful also. But viruses, I use a word called as a term. They are obligate parasites, meaning they will only cause harm and harm. They cause diseases. They are never useful to us. They cause diseases. So we call them as obligate parasites. Obligate means compulsorily they are parasites. They are never useful to us in any way. They attack plants, they attack animals, they attack us, human, right? Now, long back, many years back, when a disease affected something abnormal, a tobacco plant had a lot of damaged leaves. Tobacco. When these damaged leaves were crushed and their extract was filtered, extract is the juice, was taken, filtered through a smallest pore filter. When it was filtered and the juice, the extract was applied on a fresh, healthy plant, even this healthy plant got affected. Meaning, the filter with the smallest pore let the parasite through it. So which means viruses are very small. They are smaller than bacteria. Very tiny. Smaller than bacteria, that they pass through this filter. And when applied on a healthy plant, the healthy plant got affected. Virus, the word is derived from venom. Venom means poison. Poison, zehar, something which causes harm. So viruses, they cause only harm. When this fluid was extracted and applied here, this healthy plant got diseased. So this fluid was called as contagium fluidum, meaning this fluid was contagious. This fluid when applied elsewhere also, some other plant, all the healthy plants, they became diseased. So this was about the virus, which are obligatory parasitic. They don't have any cellular mechanism, machinery, nothing. They are acellular. But here they have a protein coat and a centrally placed nucleic acid. The protein coat is called as capsid coat, and this is the centrally placed nucleic acid. It can be RNA or it can be DNA. That is ribose nucleic acid and deoxyribose nucleic acid. Students, one thing I just missed out. Let me now tell you again. I told you they can attack plant cell, animal cell, human cell. They even have the capability to attack a bacterial cell. The protein coat is made up of small units like this. These are very important terms you should remember. We call these small units as capsomeres. We call it as capsomeres. So here you see the small units, the capsid coat made up of capsomere. So this protein coat is protecting the nucleic acid. Now, when this particular chemical, I call this chemical, right? When it is outside the host cell, it is inactive. So I mean to say they are non-living. But once they enter a host cell, it can be a plant cell, animal cell, bacterial cell, human cell. Once they enter the host cell, then they become highly active, dynamic. They start replicating. That RNA or the DNA starts replicating, multiplying. Thus their number goes on, increases, and they totally capture the machinery of the cell, host cell. They become highly active, dynamic. So once outside, they are non-living. Once inside the host cell, they are more active than a living organism. Clear? Now this was about the viruses. Now they can attack potato, cabbage, capsicum, tomato. They cause many, you would have heard some of the viral diseases caused in human. Even cattle's foot, animals, human polio, hepatitis, swine flu. All these are few diseases caused by viruses. Now, I'm just ending up this topic, this chapter in fact. Apart from those viruses, you have to remember certain entities called as viroids. Now these viroids are nothing but just a speck of nucleic acid. No protein coat. Protein coat is not there. Nothing. Just a speck of nucleic acid, and mostly that speck of nucleic acid is RNA, which is of low molecular weight. These viroids mainly attack the plant cell. And remember, these entities are smaller than viruses. So imagine being smaller than the virus and still they are so highly parasitic. Right? Now this was about the viroids. I go with the last topic of the chapter, which is again very important from exam point of view, based on your next year's topics. I go with the last topic of the chapter, and that is lichens. I don't know whether you have heard of this word. Lichens is a combination where two living components, they live in association, एक के साथ एक. That is, it's a combination of alga or algae and fungi. They live together. when they are living together, they are benefiting each other. They are not causing harm to each other. They are beneficial to each other. This combo, this structure is called as lichens, and generally you find them in snow-clad regions, very cold regions, where the temperature is very, very less. Now in the lichens, the algal component is called as phycobiont, and the fungal component is called as mycobiont. The algae, it prepares food. Algae is plant, right? So it prepares food and supplies nutrition to the fungi. And the fungi in place gives shelter, or can I say जगह देता है for the algae to grow on. So both are helping each other. Algae giving nourishment, fungi giving shelter. So they both live together, on together, in together, and that is lichens. The phycobiont and the mycobiont. Right? Now they grow especially in regions where there is no pollution. Remember that. So wherever you find lichens, it's an indicator that there is no pollution in that area. So it's a good indicator, right? So this was all about lichens. One term I just missed out. This combination, this association where both the components are helping each other, benefiting each other, we call this term, put it in your mind, we call it as symbiotic association, or we call it as symbiosis. Sym means joint, biosis, helping. Jointly they are helping each other. Clear? Now with this, in fact, I have completed the chapter systematics where we covered 5K classification. Along with that, we did something more about viruses and something little about lichens. Right? So I end up my lecture here. Goodbye, students.